Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to today's reading of the Acadiana Advocate. We do this weekdays from 9 to 10 right here on AOC, AOC 1, as well as Cypress Street Radio, aocinc.org/CS radio. Let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot of news to cover today. Much of it, of course, is about COVID-19 and the coronavirus pandemic, local and state. Let's get started. COVID-19 coronavirus, the latest Acadiana cases: Lafayette Parish with 9, Iberia Parish 3, St. Landry Parish 3, Evangeline Parish with 2, Acadia with 1, and St. Mary Parish with 1. Community spread of the virus is confirmed in Acadiana. Guillory, we are in a very, very serious situation. An article by Claire Taylor. As the number of confirmed coronavirus cases in Acadiana slowly rises, community spread of the deadly virus has been confirmed. A physician at One Lafayette Hospital confirmed community spread of the virus. Jamie Angel, communications director for Lafayette Consolidated Government, said at a news conference Monday. Community spread means several people who are infected aren't sure how or where they became infected, according to the Centers for Disease Control. In Lafayette Parish, the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, as of noon Monday, reported 9 coronavirus cases, up from 6 on Sunday. Elsewhere in Acadiana, 10 cases of COVID-19 were reported on Monday, including 3 each in Iberia and St. Mary parishes, 2 in Evangeline, and 1 each in Acadia and St. Mary parishes. Iberia Parish had the only rise by 1 case. Nearly 1,000 people have visited the drive-through screening site at the Cajun Dome since it opened on Wednesday, Angel said, with 447 of them tested for COVID-19. That's with strict criteria in place regarding who is tested because test kits are limited. At the screening site, we're seeing the sicker of the sick, Angel said. The CDC is expected to ease testing criteria, which is expected to increase the numbers tested. Many of the 447 tested at the Cajun Dome are awaiting results. Lafayette Parish officials stressed Monday the importance of non-essential workers staying home per the governor's orders. On Sunday, Governor John Bel Edwards ordered many businesses to close their doors for several weeks. The intent is to slow down the spread and stop the spread of this extremely contagious virus. Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory said during a news conference on Monday, "We are in a very, very serious situation, but together as a community, we will get through this." Sheriff Mark Garber encouraged people to report it when they see others not adhering to the governor's stay-at-home order. Deputies will respond, he said, but won't show up with guns blazing. "We're going to appeal to people to have common sense and reasoning," Garber said, "the purpose for which we're closing businesses and conducting social distancing is to protect the very oldest and the youngest and the most vulnerable." The number of confirmed cases of coronavirus in Louisiana increased between Sunday and noon Monday by 335, from 837 to 1,172, with 14 additional deaths, bringing the total deaths to 34. There have been no deaths in Acadiana. Louisiana reported its first case of coronavirus on March 9th, with the first death reported March 14th in Orleans Parish. Acadia's first 2 cases were reported Wednesday in Lafayette Parish. Some of the rise in cases is because Louisiana in the past week ramped up testing as more test kits became available. The Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, which had been updating the number of COVID-19 cases twice a day, started Monday, will only release them once a day at noon. Other things you might want to know about: drive-through screening and testing for anyone in Acadiana continues from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at the Cajun Dome, sponsored by LCG, Lafayette General, and Our Lady of Lourdes. First, call 311 or 337-534-8378. Family Tree is offering a mental health telecounseling via computer or smartphone. You can call 337-981-2180 or visit acadianafamilytree.org. Lafayette General is in need of protective gear, including N95 and surgical masks, handmade masks, and disposable non-latex gloves. Bring them to the United Way of Acadiana Warehouse, 215 East Pinhook Road, from 8 a.m. to noon, Monday through Friday. The Cajun Dome drive-through site also needs gloves, face shields, masks, gowns, and hand sanitizer. Want to help during the pandemic? Here are some ways to provide assistance. Donate, donate to local musicians. The closure of restaurants and event spaces and cancellation of festivals meant the loss of opportunities for local musicians who rely on gigs for their income. The Acadiana Center for the Arts, Gus Resend with Social Entertainment, Downtown Lafayette, and The Current partnered on a Lost My Gig Fund for musicians struggling during the pandemic. The fundraiser drive ends on April the 1st, and musicians are encouraged to reach out to Resend at gus@socialentertainment.net and provide their name, lost shows, length of career, and amount of lost income. Donors can contribute funds at the Lost My Gig Fund Facebook page. You can also donate to local food pantries. Though the University of Louisiana at Lafayette is encouraging students to leave campus, the university's campus cupboard pantry is still operating to serve students, faculty, and staff in need and is accepting donations. Anyone who needs to pick up a to-go bag of food can register for an appointment on the cupboard's website. Donations can be delivered to the food pantry inside UL's Intensive English Program building at 413 Brook Avenue. The campus cupboard needs donations including granola bars, protein bars, Pop-Tarts, cereal, snacks like chips, crackers, cookies, etc., oatmeal, canned fruit, Gatorade, spaghetti sauce, rice, dry pasta noodles, canned tuna, Knorr pasta sides, hamburger helper type boxed stove meals, canned soups, canned tomatoes, and black beans. Second Harvest of Acadiana is also accepting monetary donations, fresh and non-perishable food donations, and donations of cleaning and sanitation products at its location at 215 East Pinhook Road in Lafayette. Donations can be delivered between 7:30 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Ben Broussard, spokesperson for Catholic Charities of Acadiana, said Friday they've suspended operations of the FoodNet Food Bank while they determine ways to safely collect and disseminate donations. Catholic Charities is recommending anyone interested in supporting FoodNet or Catholic Charities, other ministries, make a monetary donation at the nonprofit's website. You can also donate blood. Blood banks are encouraging healthy residents to continue donating blood to combat diminishing supplies nationwide. Donations have declined as blood drives have been canceled and fewer individuals have made donations at blood banks while practicing social distancing to combat spread of the coronavirus. Hospitals will be extremely challenged if COVID-19 infections increase, said Dr. Ralph Vassallo, Vitalant's Chief Medical and Scientific Officer. The last thing we want them worrying about is having enough blood for trauma victims and cancer patients. That's why it's imperative that healthy individuals donate blood at drives and blood donation sites now. Vitalant continues to host mobile blood drives and collect donations at its blood center at 1503 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette. A schedule for Vitalant's Bloodmobile can be found on the nonprofit's website. Our Lady of Lourdes is taking appointments at its blood donation center at 4809 Ambassador Caffrey Parkway from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. Donors should call 337-470-4483 to schedule an appointment. Our Lady of Lourdes is also hosting mobile blood drives across Acadiana. You can also donate to United Way. The United Way of Acadiana has established a fund to support community members experiencing food or housing insecurity because of the coronavirus pandemic. Donations can be made at unitedwayofacadiana.org/COVID-19. You can also help by sewing protective masks. Lafayette General Health released a design and tutorial for crafters and sewers interested in sewing homemade protection masks. There's a shortage of protection masks nationwide, and both healthcare workers and patients are in need. A&A Sewing Center at 1209 Albertson Parkway, Suite J in Broussard, and Lola Pink Fabrics at 123 Arnold Boulevard in Lafayette have agreed to be drop-off stations for the masks. The sewing pattern and tutorial are available through Lafayette General Health's website. You can also volunteer at the screening site. Coronavirus screenings are being offered daily at the Cajun Dome, and if any nurses, physicians, or other trained medical professionals would like to volunteer to work at the Cajun Dome screening site or volunteer to man phones at the parish's 311 call center, please call 337-262-5311 or visit www.lava.dhh.louisiana.gov to register. The city parish is also collecting donations of personal protective equipment, including gloves, masks, gowns, and other gear for medical volunteers at the Cajun Dome screening site. The donations can be brought to the Cajun Dome site during daily operation hours. Louisiana jobless benefits are the lowest in the nation, an article by Tyler Bridges. The tens of thousands of laid-off workers forced to file for state jobless benefits because of the coronavirus pandemic are likely in for a second rude shock. Louisiana has perhaps the stingiest system for paying unemployment insurance claims in the country. Louisiana ranks dead last among the 50 states in the average weekly benefit it pays as a share of average weekly wages, reports the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, a liberal Washington, D.C. think tank. Louisiana pays $216 on average per week in unemployment benefits, according to the Federal Department of Labor, which is only 23% of what the average worker earns, the center found. Hawaii, which ranks first, pays 55% of the average worker's wages in unemployment benefits to jobless workers. The $216 paid in Louisiana is the 49th lowest amount in the country. Only Mississippi at $214 per week pays less. But Louisiana's rate is actually lower when average wages are factored in because wages in Louisiana tend to be higher. Only 11% of unemployed workers actually receive unemployment insurance because of restrictions on who qualifies and perhaps because of the low amount they would receive. The 11% rate ranks Louisiana as 46th in the country. That's a system that's barely functioning, Michael Leachman, Senior Director of State Fiscal Research for the CBPP, said in an interview. Louisiana's unemployment system is one of the weakest in the country, if not the weakest. The state received a staggering 70,601 claims for unemployment benefits during the 7 days that began on March 15th. The Louisiana Workforce Commission reported on Monday. The state agency normally receives an average of 1,500 claims per week. Unemployment insurance is covered by a tax on employers that is paid into a trust fund. This means that the higher the benefits for laid-off workers, the higher the tax on employers. The low tax on companies will actually hurt the state's economy whenever it emerges from the coronavirus-driven recession now slamming the state and the world economy, predicted Leachman. People lose their jobs, Leachman said. They need some kind of support to get by. The economy also needs those families to have some income so they can keep spending. Otherwise, the recession just gets worse. Louisiana's choice to have an unemployment system that barely functions is going to mean that the emerging recession will hit the state and its people much harder than if Louisiana had more foresight in that area. Asked if Louisiana businesses ought to pay a higher tax in order to increase the jobless payments, Don Starnes, state director of the National Federation of Independent Business, said, "We always have to look at things like that, but we have to measure that against what employers are paying in." Louisiana has made low payments to jobless workers for decades as part of a trade-off by state lawmakers over the years with business leaders. The state's unemployment fund went bankrupt in the late 1980s after a sharp drop in oil prices caused an influx of laid-off workers to file for claims and exhaust the program, said Jim Richardson, an LSU economist. A deal between labor and business leaders in 1987 lowered the claims payments while raising the tax on businesses to replenish the fund, he added. By 1995, when the state trust fund was on solid footing again, another legislative measure was approved that automatically increases or decreases the benefit amount and the tax rate depending on the amount of money in the trust fund. Richardson said it now contains nearly $1.1 billion. Louisiana pays a maximum of $247 per week in unemployment benefits for up to 27 weeks. Workers have to receive a W-2 tax form to qualify for unemployment insurance. Self-employed contractors who receive a 1099 tax form are out of luck in most cases. I think they need to rewrite the law, said Robbie Brennan, a contractor who was laid off as a French Quarter tour guide a week ago when visitors to New Orleans almost evaporated. Jobless workers stand to receive more under the proposed stimulus bill before Congress, said Chad Stone, chief economist for the CBPP. Congress appears likely to give jobless workers an extra $600 per week through June 30th, expand the definition for who qualifies by including workers laid off due to COVID-19, and extend the number of weeks that workers can receive the benefits by an additional 13 weeks, Stone said. Abbeville may cut off some utility customers, an article by Ken Stickney. Despite the coronavirus pandemic, Abbeville's mayor and city council say they'll press ahead with utility service cutoffs if necessary if customers don't pay their bills. And the Louisiana Public Service Commission said the local government is empowered to do that, despite orders by Governor John Bel Edwards and the commission last week to not deprive non-paying utility customers of service. Mayor Mark Piazza and council members met in an emergency session Thursday morning at City Hall to address two items. The first, to issue a state of emergency in the Vermilion Parish city of 12,000 residents, and second, to discuss the applicability of Louisiana public service rulings and regulations on Abbeville's utility service. In an issued statement, city leaders said continued payments for utilities are vital to the city budget, and the city will move ahead with disconnecting customers who were behind on payments and scheduled for March 16th cutoff. The city of Abbeville, like many municipalities, is depending upon utility sales to provide for public safety and services. City utilities are purchased from a supplier, and we need to be able to continue providing utilities to citizens throughout this pandemic. Colby Cook, commission spokesman, said the order by the governor on March 11th and the commission on Friday forbidding service cutoffs was broad in nature and did not apply in general to government-operated utility services, over which the commission holds no jurisdiction. He said of municipally operated utilities, there are more than you'd think. Lafayette Utilities System announced last week it would voluntarily suspend disconnections and waive late fees for the next 60 days. This measure will help ensure our most vulnerable households, the elderly, the disabled, low-income families, and families with young children who are not in school for the next month have power and running water in their homes during this public health emergency, the utility said in a prepared statement. A statement from Commissioner Foster Campbell said the order applies to utilities regulated by the Commission, including Entergy, CLECO, and Louisiana's rural electric cooperatives. It does not waive bills, but merely postpones them until the emergency order is lifted, Campbell's statement said. Piazza said through a city spokesman Monday morning that the city was working with individual customers. The city had not cut off any customers, he said. The city provides utilities to almost everyone in Abbeville, she said, with the exception of some residents on the outskirts of town. Some of those residents, she said, were served by Slimco. A statement from the governor's office said, "We very much support the actions of the Public Service Commission to suspend disconnections, and we hope that other systems would follow its lead and not cause their customers to worry about having their utilities cut off at this time." Jewelry manufacturer closes due to governor's order. Stuller Inc., North America's largest fine jewelry manufacturer, announced on Monday it would temporarily suspend operations at its global headquarters, affecting 1,263 employees. The move is in compliance with Governor John Bel Edwards' stay-at-home order. The company pledged to fully pay its associates, including benefits, through April 12th. As one of Acadiana's preeminent employers, Stuller Inc. has been blessed in assembling a highly skilled and dedicated group of associates whom we consider our extended family, said CEO Matt Stuller. Our first priorities are always our associates, including their loved ones and our customers. Ultimately, we believe temporarily suspending operations in our Lafayette facility is the right thing to do for our coworkers, our communities, and Louisiana. We are committed to supporting our Stuller associates through this executive order by providing full pay and benefits to help alleviate undue hardship on each of them. As it was almost 50 years ago, I am committed to our talented associates, customers, and Acadiana. Stuller looks forward to resuming normal operations as soon as the stay-home order is lifted. Libraries curtail service. All Lafayette Public Library locations will discontinue drive-through pickup and return services as of 5 p.m. Tuesday because of the statewide stay-at-home order issued by the governor. Requested holds for library materials will not be available until further notice. Patrons are being asked to keep their items until the library system reopens. No fines will be charged for past due materials, and most items will automatically renew or give a new due date. The library's digital resources are still available at LafayettePublicLibrary.org/freestuff. You can download ebooks and audiobooks for free. You will need your library card number and PIN to access most of these services. If you need a library card, go to LafayettePublicLibrary.org/get-a-card. You can also get assistance by emailing reference@LafayettePublicLibrary.org. You can also download the library's app on your mobile device by searching Lafayette Public Library in the Apple Store or Google Play Store. Once you've downloaded the app, log in using your library card number and PIN, and all your information will be available. Public Works shifts to on-call. St. Martinville Public Works will shift to an on-call status for all personnel for the duration of the stay-at-home period. Only critical daily operational tasks and emergency calls will be accomplished until further notice. Critical daily operational tasks include, but are not limited to, the following: daily water and sewer system operations, such as water and wastewater system samples and testing, daily sewage lift station checks, maintenance and repairs, maintenance tasks required to keep the electrical system in safe working order. Emergency work tasks include, but are not limited to, the following: power, water, and sewage system outages or breakdowns, major water breaks, sewage backups, storm drainage issues during thunderstorm or rain events. Mechanics will be on call and available to respond for police department emergency response vehicle repairs and repairs to critical public works equipment. Animal control calls will be limited to dangerous and suffering animals only. Public Works also asks residents to refrain from flushing wet wipes. City Hall will remain open for business transactions through the drive-through window only. The police department lobby will be open to the public. However, it is recommended the public handle all police business over the phone. The police can be reached at 337-394-3001. Walmart seeks workers. Walmart is looking to hire more workers at its distribution center in Opelousas as part of its efforts to hire additional staff during the coronavirus pandemic. The company is looking to hire full and part-time workers for its facility at 3160 LA 743. Company officials announced Monday afternoon. It's part of an extension effort that includes hiring over 3,500 associates to work in stores, clubs, and distribution centers in Louisiana and 150,000 company-wide by the end of May. Company officials did not reveal how many workers they are looking to hire in Opelousas. Positions at the Opelousas Center featuring a starting pay of $17 to $18 an hour with benefits, advanced training, and access to affordable college, company officials said. The job could result in a long-term position. To apply, visit careers.walmart.com. Company officials also said employees could be working 24 hours after applying for a job. Let's see, and sites cut for meals. The Lafayette Parish School System has made the following change to its grab-and-go meal service. Meals will no longer be available at Broussard Middle or Milton Elementary and Middle Schools because of a shortage of staff. Meal pickup is available from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at 13 other schools across the district. Alice Boucher Elementary, Karen Crow Middle, Charles Burke Elementary, Corporal Michael Middlebrook Elementary, Duson Elementary, Edgar Martin Middle, J.W. Falk Elementary, Lafayette Middle, Live Oak Elementary, Paul Breaux Middle, S.J. Montgomery Elementary, Scott Middle School, and Youngsville Middle. A student must be present to receive a meal without exception. Meals will be brought out to vehicles or to individuals who walk to the campuses. Any student with a special diet prescription on file with the school system can call the meal service hotline at 337-521-7370 to coordinate a pickup location. In a more light-hearted story this morning, teddy bear safaris are helping to keep children entertained. An article by Claire Taylor. Children in one Lafayette neighborhood, maps and binoculars in hand, have been on a safari this week in search of teddy bears. It's an extension of something that's occurring in other places, including London, to keep children entertained while they're out of school and sticking close to home because of the coronavirus. Placing teddy bears in street-facing windows so children can hunt them out on walks and bicycle rides through their neighborhood. The idea may be based on a book called We're Going on a Bear Hunt by Michael Rosen and Helen Oxenberry. Here in Lafayette, parents and residents got together on a neighborhood Facebook page over the past week or two to spread the word, and teddy bears started appearing in windows. Myrtle Place resident Jackie Russo, who has 3 bears in her windows, said she first observed it late last week. People were putting bears in windows, flower beds, along fence lines, she said, and posting their addresses on the neighborhood Facebook page so people can map a route and parents can take their kids walking on a bear hunt. And the children are serious about it, Russo said, taking paper and pens and mapping routes. Some even bring binoculars to help them hunt out the cuddly creatures. I love it, Russo said. It's a great way for neighbors to help out. In the late morning, when parents in her neighborhood walk their children to school to pick up lunch, they're hunting for teddy bears, Russo said. In the afternoons, children can be seen making chalk drawings of teddy bears and uplifting phrases on driveways and sidewalks, she said. Some parents are even hanging lines in their front yards to display their children's drawings of bears. One Oaklawn resident posted Monday afternoon how proud she is to live in the neighborhood. Her daughter spotted 50 teddy bears on their walk on Monday. If you don't live in Oaklawn, Myrtle Place, or the St. Streets area, you can either start something similar in your neighborhood or visit Colonial Drive and the St. Streets, where Russo said the teddy bears are plentiful. Teddy bears aren't the only thing adding cheer to homes and lives in Lafayette Parish. In the Sawgrass Park neighborhood in South Lafayette Parish, rainbows are showing up all over the place, even where there hasn't been a rain shower. Mary LeBlanc, who has 2 young children and another on the way, learned about the rainbows from her sister-in-law who lives in New Orleans and posted it on the neighborhood Facebook page. Word spread last weekend, and children took out their crayons and markers to create beautiful rainbows they put in street-facing windows for a giant neighborhood I Spy game. Children also are spreading rainbows outside, drawing them on chalk on sidewalks and driveways. Some of the neighbors are posting their addresses on the Facebook page, inviting kids to stop by their street. Parents like LeBlanc and her husband, who are working from home during the coronavirus crisis, are taking family walks and bike rides, searching out the rainbows. It's cheerful, LeBlanc said. It's something to look forward to. And who doesn't need a little cheer during these times? Just over half of Louisiana districts are offering online classes, an article by Will Sintel. Just 39 of 69 public school districts in Louisiana are offering distance learning during the closure of classrooms because of the coronavirus, according to a survey done by the State Department of Education. The trend is significant because schools already shuttered until April 13th by order of Governor John Bel Edwards may be closed longer because of the spread of the virus. But educators said even districts that provide distance learning are only offering a different form of enrichment for their students, not delivering the same instruction that students are used to in traditional settings that include grades. Even in urban areas, the online learning is really problematic, said Belinda Davis, a member of the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education who lives in Baton Rouge. Districts offering distance learning are concentrated in metro areas, including the Ascension, Livingston, Central, Zachary, Iberville, West Feliciana, St. Bernard, St. Charles, Jefferson, and Lafayette school districts, and traditional public schools in New Orleans. The East Baton Rouge Parish School District is among the 29 not offering distance learning. Officials said they are instead offering optional enrichment instructional resources to support student learning at home, including assistance in English language arts, math, science, and social studies. They are also referring families to the websites of the district and the State Department of Education and offering printed packets for students from pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. We want to make sure kids and parents have everything we can give them and not stress them, said Ben Nassis, Associate Superintendent. Others not offering distance learning are the West Baton Rouge, Calcasieu, East Feliciana, Tangipahoa, St. James, St. John the Baptist, Terrebonne, and Iberia Parish school districts. The St. Tammany Parish School District was the lone district that did not reply to the state survey. Districts that offer online classes have to meet state guidelines, including mandatory attendance checks. The idea behind distance learning is to provide students instruction in math, science, and other subjects using online platforms like YouTube and Zoom. However, any push to make it reality statewide is complicated by the fact that only 69% of households in Louisiana have internet access. Even that figure may be misleading because some connections, especially in rural areas, are often too weak to handle routine streaming services. That is a huge disadvantage, said Senator Beth Mizell, a Republican of Franklinton, a longtime advocate of expanding internet access across the state. Bessie President Sandy Holloway of Thibodaux said Monday she thinks the number of districts offering distance learning will grow. They are also working on serving food to the children, Holloway said. They are overwhelmed but very grateful that they can support families. Davis, an associate professor in the political science department at LSU, said college officials are also grappling with infrastructure issues during the sudden shift to online classes only for the rest of the spring semester. This is something that LSU is worried about, she said. They have told us to use the lowest tech possible because they know that our students are scattered across Louisiana and not all of them will have access to more robust platforms. The governor's order closing schools until April 13th does not require students to make up for school days lost. Standardized tests, public school letter grades, and other accountability measures have been scrapped because of classroom turmoil caused by the virus. Danielle Scott Johnson, head of school for the Louisiana Virtual Charter Academy, oversees online education for about 1,900 students statewide, which is mostly unaffected by the school's shutdown. While teachers scrambled to deliver online classes in some districts, Scott Johnson said doing so suddenly is a huge challenge. I certainly think that is something that cannot happen overnight, she said. The Louisiana Association of Educators, one of the state's 2 teacher unions, has been holding training sessions that allow teachers to hone their online teaching skills. While the New Orleans area dominates the list of coronavirus cases, the spread of positive tests statewide raises questions on whether the rest of the 2019-20 school year will be canceled. Kansas last week became the first state to shutter schools for the remainder of the school year, jolting students, parents, and teachers. The first impact was a state of shock for everyone, said Charles Faust, superintendent of the Kansas City, Kansas school system. Louisiana's HIV community is fearful of impact, an article by Blake Patterson. Gina Brown is doing what she can to protect herself from the coronavirus. The 54-year-old grandmother washes her hands religiously and wears a mask and gloves when she leaves home for groceries. Still, she's fearful, not for herself, but for the more than 500,000 other people like her living with HIV in the South with immune systems that are vulnerable. In Louisiana alone, more than 20,000 people are living with HIV. Louisiana now ranks third in the nation, behind New York and Washington State, in per capita cases of people infected with the coronavirus, with confirmed cases reaching 1,172 on Monday. But as the number of COVID-19 cases continues to surge, patients and health officials are worried how Louisiana, already at the center of the nation's HIV epidemic, will be able to protect this vulnerable population as it fights the spread of the new pandemic. I'm really afraid for the community, said Brown, an advocate at the Southern AIDS Coalition who lives in Chalmette. My heart is breaking. In the decades since the first HIV cases were reported in New York City and Los Angeles, the epidemic has shifted from urban centers along the coasts to the 16 states and the District of Columbia that make up the South. The region accounts for more than half of new HIV cases annually, even though it includes just 38% of the nation's population. Louisiana has the fourth highest rate of new HIV infections in the country. In 2018, Baton Rouge also ranked fourth among the nation's cities for its rate of new HIV diagnoses, with 27.5 cases per 100,000 people, and New Orleans ranked sixth with 24.6 cases per 100,000 people. We have poorer health outcomes than the rest of the country, said Noel Twilbeck, chief executive of Crescent Care, a community health center in New Orleans. That's what our fear is, that the coronavirus will exacerbate the problems that already exist. The coronavirus has moved so quickly that public health data remains sparse. HIV targets a person's immune system, making them particularly susceptible to getting a viral respiratory infection, especially if they aren't receiving treatment. In addition, nearly half of people living with HIV in the United States are over the age of 50, placing them at increased risk for severe illness from COVID-19. There are also higher rates of lung cancer, cardiovascular disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and emphysema among people living with HIV, regardless of whether they are on the cocktail of antiretroviral drug therapies to strengthen their immune system. And more than 80,000 people in the South are living with HIV and don't know it, more than in any other region in the country. That means they're not receiving treatment and could face potentially devastating outcomes if they contract COVID-19, said Dr. David Welsh, a pulmonologist at LSU. The concentration of HIV cases in the region, which stretches from Texas along the Gulf Coast and up to Washington, D.C., is driven by socioeconomic factors like poverty and unemployment, and has largely impacted low-income communities of color. Nearly half of all Americans without health insurance live in the South. Medicaid is the largest source of coverage for people with HIV in the country, but only 7 of the 16 states in the region have expanded eligibility for the program under the Affordable Care Act. Louisiana did so in 2016. States that didn't expand the government insurance program, including Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, have had the most rural hospital closures, according to a study from the University of North Carolina. Dr. Yihong Zhang, the chief medical officer at Baton Rouge's Open Healthcare Clinic, is worried the coronavirus crisis will upend the routines of her patients' already fragile living situations, especially as Louisiana enters a 3-week stay-at-home order. This situation is creating anxiety, uncertainty, and disruption of already chaotic lives, Zhang said. Her clinic treats close to 1,000 people living with HIV, 200 of whom face difficulties remaining on treatment during normal times. That's because many people living with HIV are also battling poverty, mental health, or substance abuse issues. Clinics are offering telemedicine appointments to allow patients to remain at home for checkups, and pharmacies are delivering medications through the mail. Crescent Care in New Orleans is recording podcast episodes on the coronavirus to keep its clients informed. For Brown, the silver lining of the crisis is knowing that Dr. Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute for Allergy and Infectious Diseases, who has advised 6 presidents on HIV policy, appears to be in charge. Our community knows Dr. Fauci and trusts Dr. Fauci, Brown said. We know that he is a champion for the HIV-positive community, period. Louisiana legislature is likely to extend session suspension, an article by Sam Carlin. Louisiana Senate President Paige Cortez said Monday the state legislature will likely extend its suspension of the legislative session until after the state's stay-at-home order is set to expire in mid-April. Cortez, a Lafayette Republican, said the legislature is obligated to come back March 31st because when lawmakers adjourned a week ago to help slow the spread of the new coronavirus, they set that date to return. Also, Cortez said lawmakers would read in late filed bills that day. But he said the legislature will likely convene, read in the bills, and then go home until after April 13th, when the stay-at-home order put in place by Governor John Bel Edwards is set to be lifted. Cortez said while he doesn't want to speak for House Speaker Clay Schexnayder, he believes Schexnayder agrees the move is prudent. Schexnayder did not return calls on Monday. Cortez added that the state budget process is in flux, and he indicated a meeting of the Revenue Estimating Conference, which decides how much money the state has to spend, could be delayed after initially being set for April 8th. The budget is further complicated by cratering oil prices and federal stimulus money that will dramatically change revenue streams for the state. Everything is sort of a mystery at this point, Cortez said. We're working on every 12 hours getting new information. The legislature suspended its work only a week after gaveling in on March 9th. Hours into the session, Edwards announced Louisiana had confirmed its first coronavirus case. As of noon Monday, the state had 1,172 confirmed cases and 34 confirmed deaths. The virus had spread to 41 of 64 parishes. State widens access to aid for early learner expenses by Will Centel. State officials said Monday they are expanding access to a program that assists families with child care expenses to include critical workers, regardless of income, because of the coronavirus outbreak. The aid is called the Child Care Assistance Program. It normally helps low-income families with expenses for children at early learning centers while their families work, undergo job training, or attend school. But the State Department of Education said that because of the virus, law enforcement, healthcare, and other workers can qualify for the assistance, and their applications will be expedited. The subsidized care is for children 12 years old and under at licensed child care centers that take part in the program or through registered or certified family child care and in-home providers. The state has about 1,700 of the centers, and they are not part of Governor John Bel Edwards' mandatory closing of public schools until April 13th. If you can keep your children at home, please do so, Acting State Superintendent of Education Beth Sano said in a statement. But we must ensure affordable access to child care for those who are on the front lines of the COVID-19 response effort, Sino said, a reference to the illness caused by the coronavirus. Opening CCAP to critical personnel is necessary and important as we fight the spread of COVID-19. Attendance is down at many of the centers statewide, in part because more parents are working from home because of the changes sparked by the virus. In addition, Edwards' office and state health officials have advised limiting groups to 10 or fewer children and adults. Olivette G. Temple, who operates an early learning center in Slidell in New Orleans, said Monday attendance is down 25% at one of her cities, or at one of her sites, and 30 to 35% at the other. The only people coming are those essential workers, period and point blank, said Temple, who is president of the Child Care Association of Louisiana. She said widening access to state assistance regardless of income will help critical personnel and the centers. The governor has made learning centers for those from birth to age 4 one of his legislative priorities, including a $25 million increase that would trim the waiting list for CCAP by 4,000 children. The 2020 legislative session is in temporary adjournment until March 31st because of the virus. The state subsidies range from $22 per day at certain centers for those 3 years and older to $23.75 for toddlers, $25 for infants, and $27.72 for children 3 and older with special needs, according to the State Department of Education. We'll take a look at funerals today in the Acadiana area. There is one, Reginald Zonbrecker Jr. Graveside services will be at St. Joseph Cemetery No. 2 Mausoleum in Rain today at 11 a.m. Okay, we're close to out of time, and we've gotten through the majority of our news today. Let's end with something fun, shall we? We'll take a look at your zodiac. For Scorpios, make adjustments that will result in a better life. If you take action first, everyone who counts will follow. Set the standard and live up to your promises. Sagittarius, do what works best for you. Don't let anyone disrupt your plans or life. Remain focused and intent on reaching your goal. Know your worth and don't settle for less. Capricorn, take what's said at face value. Verify any information you receive before you pass it along, or make a change based on what you are led to believe. Romance is featured. Aquarius, pay it forward. Offer assistance and understanding to someone in need. A new relationship will develop that has the potential to lead to a serious commitment. Pisces, if you listen and observe, you'll pick up on a vibe someone is sending you. You'll be attracted to someone very different from yourself. Aries, keep your emotions under control and your thoughts practical. Overreacting will hold you back. If you look for the positive, you'll discover the best way to move forward. Taurus, don't give in to a bully or to emotional manipulation. If you have reservations about someone, back away and take care of matters on your own. It's better to be safe than sorry. Gemini, spend time with people you can learn from, not with those who continually want something from you. A self-improvement project will get good results. A spa day will ease stress. Cancer, too much or too little will be problematic. Don't put yourself in financial jeopardy. Don't spend more than you can afford, and don't feel compelled to impress someone. Leo, a physical challenge will keep you on your toes. Don't take an unnecessary risk. Associate with people who inspire and encourage you. Share your plans with someone you want to work alongside. Virgo, channel your energy into nurturing meaningful relationships. Home improvements that fit your lifestyle will add to your convenience and give you more time to share with a loved one. Libra, take a look at what you've accomplished and what's still on your to-do list. Align yourself with people who can provide what you lack and be part of an unbeatable team. Of course, the horoscope is an entertainment feature. It's not based on scientific fact. That's about it for our news program for today. We have a couple of minutes left in the broadcast, so I do want to keep you posted on a few things that are going on at AOC. Of course, our facilities are still closed to members, but we are still actively accepting your content. So if you have something to share that you'd like to have on our channels or distributed perhaps throughout our social media accounts, please go to aocinc.org/submit, and it's super easy. You can drop your file right there, fill out a short form, and that's it. You can do that from anywhere. And do follow our blog. We've got a couple of live streams that we've done already. Our community productions manager, Matt Roberts, has put together some tips on podcasting. If you want to learn how to use the audio software to get set up and do a podcast from home, That's there on our website. All you do to get to that blog, go to aocinc.org. And I believe the button's called Staying Close While Keeping Distance. But if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, he's keeping it updated there with all of the latest that we've got going on as far as tutorials and tips to keep you going throughout this period. You can find this program weekdays from 9 to 10. We're going to continue to provide this public service, normally staffed by volunteers, but currently staff members will be handling this program, and we'll be bringing this to you every weekday from 9 to 10, reading articles from the Acadiana Advocate of local and state news to keep you informed. You can find it here on AOC 1, which is Cox 15, LUS 3, as well as Cypress Street Radio, which you can also take along on your phone, in your car. You go to aocinc.org/CS radio. Got about 5 minutes left, and I've run out of things to say, so I'm going to play a little bit of music to ease us out of here. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.